Hello folks, and thank you for joining me. On today's video, I particularly want to talk about the changes, the huge changes that are taking place in general in US government, in particular the US military. Yesterday, October 1st, there was a speech to all the high command, all the admirals and generals by Hegseth, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and also Donald Trump. I listened to both speeches, and Trump's was 1 hour and 45 minutes. I'm sorry, 1 hour and 15 minutes. And Pete Hegseth's speech was about 45 minutes. So I blocked those 2 hours, and I listened to both speeches very carefully. And again, the significance of this speech. First off, let me explain that, and then I'm gonna go beyond that. The room was a large room, very large room, and they basically gathered all the admirals and generals, not from within the United States, but from around the world. And they estimated, I don't know the number, but the cost was huge because they basically brought all these generals and admirals and they flew them in to this location for this big speech. So what was it? Why was it so important that all these generals and admirals had to stop what they were doing, all four corners of the world, and came to the United States, to this location, to listen to President Trump and Pete Hegseth? Number one thing is, you remember I just said Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of Defense. Actually, technically, this is wrong anymore because there is no more Department of Defense. The name Department of Defense has been changed to Department of War. DOW. No more DOD. Now we got DOW. Department of War. The name of the DOD, they came up with after the Second World War, 1947. Up until the 1947, that was same Department of War, and then they came up with this change in 1947, and they called it Department of Defense. Yeah, folks, you know that the names, the terminologies, definitions, words are actually very important. They carry meaning. Over time, they basically shape the way of thinking, and the way of thinking over time shapes actions. Department of Defense, as the name suggests, is oriented in reaction. Defensive. Being defensive means you're being reactionary. That means, by definition, you're under attack and you're reacting to defend yourself. No more the case, as it should have been before 1947 or pre Second World War. It should have been Department of Warfare, and it is now Department of War. So Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of War. Now, let's talk about the changes. What was the 2 hours? There was a lot, obviously, they said, but what was the gist of it? The core message that they were given to all these, the highest level of command. There was 5-star generals, 4-star generals, a lot of them, admirals, all around the world. What was the message to them? The message was this: meritocracy. That means there is no more DEI. I repeat, there is no more DEI. Diversity, inclusivity, inclusivity and equality, or equity. Diversity, equity, inclusivity. I said it the other way around. So they are basically stating very explicitly and very loudly, very clearly, and the message was beyond crystal clear. Both Pete Hegseth and Trump said that there is no more DEI. There is no more wokeism, and there is no room or place within the U.S. military, all 5 branches of the U.S. military. No more room for wokes in the woke positions. Anymore, they're saying we're stopping all the practices that people got to certain positions because of satisfying those stupid quotas that were established under those DEI concerns. Whether it's the race base, the gender base, or however the person is, the dude is feeling himself like a woman, LGBTQ, transgender, gender, race relations, all that bullshit. I repeat, all that bullshit is out of window now. It's gone. So the person, whoever deserves, if that person deserves it, to be in the position, whatever that position he or she is in, must be earned and deserved and aligned with those high standards that was established by the United States military. The physical fitness requirements were part of them, along many other requirements, obviously, but that was just an example. I mean, I remember Hegseth was saying that he was seeing generals, fat generals, and it's not acceptable. Everybody from the private to the 5-star general, any branch of the U.S. military should be and must be fit, and that fitness will be monitored twice a year. Every 6 months, they will be subject to fitness requirements test. So that is the fitness part, that is the requirements and standards part. And again, as Pete Hegseth said, if he was saying clearly that they were not against filling up the positions by with women. Absolutely not. If a woman can satisfy the requirements, she should be, and she will be hired for the position, for the role. But the standards are high, and they will be even making tougher. And that makes a huge sense. But again, I want to refer to again the core message of these huge changes. The essential core message by both President Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was no more woke, no more wokeism, no more radical left bullshit, liberal bullcrap. Only and only those who can satisfy with the flying colors can be hired for those roles among the military ranks. Again, from the private to the 5-star general. That was the message heard loud and clear by all top brass, all admirals, all generals from around the world. They had to sit silently and listen to what the Secretary of War and the President, Donald J. Trump, were telling them. This message was so clear and loud, and indicates also a huge change. This is not only limited to military. This particular speech was obviously directed to the top brass of the military command, but this is actually part of the entire governmental change. There is going to be a lot of changes coming up against extreme radical left practices, liberal, and all these practices simply making every institution of the United States, whether it's a civilian, educational, healthcare, social administrations, or U.S. military, is extremely detrimental for the functionality of those departments, because those departments are in existence to serve a purpose and deliver results. And they've been hiring and filling up those positions not based on meritocracy, but out of concerns to comply with those stupid DEI quotas and regulations. Folks, you remember just remember back when Trump was giving a speech before he actually, during his campaign. You remember in Pennsylvania that there was an attack on his life, right? And following after that, the U.S. Secret Service, the director of the U.S. Secret Service was subject to extremely rigorous and heavy drilling questions. In fact, next day, she resigned. No one in her position would have ever, doesn't matter, man or woman, would have or should have stayed in her role. Basically, every senator drilled her for the incredible amount of incompetence for protecting then presidential candidate Donald Trump during his campaign. The reason I'm saying that is this is a good example. That director, I don't even remember her name, and I don't care about remembering her name. I don't think she is worth a dime. That she was saying, and in fact it was proven that her goal was to fill the ranks of the U.S. Secret Service up to 30 or 35% at least with women. Whether those women were capable to serve according to the set standards by the U.S. Secret Service or not, that was not important. So this is what DEI hiring is. This is what DEI hiring is, and this is what Trump administration is saying. That's enough. Hell with you. Get the hell out of here. That's what the message was. I will give you another example. This is a more recent incident that about a couple of weeks ago, there was a murder took place in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. A black criminal, he, for no reason, he was sitting behind this 23-year-old Ukrainian woman, and he basically got up and he had a knife, and basically he stabbed her on her neck, and she died immediately in her seat on the train. I want to repeat. Well, I made a video on this one before, and if you want, you can watch that in the details. But I want to basically mention, because this is very relevant. That dude, that black criminal, had a huge rap sheet. Basically, he had 14 criminal activities, and he was supposed to be in jail. He was supposed to be behind the bars, but he was let go. He was released into public by another extremely hardcore liberal black judge. And what I learned later on, this was the video that I made on that, and you can find those details, that judge was not even licensed to practice law in the state of North Carolina, let alone being a judge, yet she was in the position of judge because she was nominated for that position by another judge who was basically selected as the champion of DEI in the year 2019 in North Carolina judicial system. I repeat, she was chosen as a DEI champion. You know what that means, folks, right? She was putting in or nominating or facilitating hiring of individuals who are far from being capable of doing their jobs or satisfying the job requirements based on nothing but based on their race and gender, to satisfy, to be to satisfy the requirements of the quotas, the DEI quotas. Again, diversity, uh, equity, and inclusivity. And look at the outcome. One of those extremely unqualified judges made a decision, and she let this animal loose into public, which basically cost the life of that 23-year-old young Ukrainian woman who was trying to build herself a good, you know, start a life and take advantage and take a share of the American dream. So the government all over are full of those kinds of practices. I can tell you this. I'm not going to mention the university's name. That's a major state university. And many state universities, I believe, are going through the similar processes and situations, that there is a lot of hiring based on false resumes. The resumes are flat out false, fake. What they claim is all lies. But because of their races or because of their national origin, I'm not going to mention the specific race and national origin, religion, all those things, but to be able to satisfy and fill the ranks with enough sufficient number of people based on those criteria to basically satisfy the percentage criteria, a lot of people are being hired and they're far from being able to deliver the results and actually produce up to actual requirements. That's what Trump's decision in terms of declaring a war. This is nothing short of war, overall war against the woke invasion of American institutions, civilian, government, or military. This is nothing short of war. He declared war, rightfully so, and I'm very happy and satisfied to see Trump taking severe and serious action against wokeism, and radical left and liberals. This country has been, basically going into hell in a handbasket under the Biden administration. Don't forget that, folks. Up to 20 plus million illegal immigrants were dumped, were facilitated, and helped to cross the Mexican border. So many millions have been basically flown from all around the world to be able to establish a solid, sound voting base for the Democratic establishment. That's why number one reason that Trump came to power, and that was the top number one reason to fight against illegal immigration. And actually, illegal immigration goes hand in hand with these kind of liberal practices. When I say liberal, these are actually treasonous and heinous activities in the United States against the country. And I'm so pleased to see what Trump promised during his election campaign. That's exactly after now. I would say this is the 10th month. This is October 2nd today. 9 months after that he started working as a president of the United States, he's delivering what he promised to deliver. Unlike any liberal and democratic president, and especially fighting thanks to every single agent, man and woman, of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and all the other three-letter federal agencies fighting to find and round up and arrest and deport illegal immigrants. Day and night, non-stop, they're working. This is what Trump promised, this is what he's delivering. The intensity of running up arrests, deportation will increase, not decrease. Don't forget that $150 billion budget has been approved and deployed for both ICE, USCIS, and CBP to expand on their operations, to make it more efficient and effective, and expand in depth and width. There should be no mercy for those who committed crime by crossing the border illegally, and especially tens of thousands of criminal illegals, maybe millions, who have been wreaking havoc in this country and making fun of the American judicial system. No more. And what Trump was telling to generals, the top brass of the military, was all also aligned with all these things that I just mentioned. I'm very pleased. That's why I wanted to share with you. I'm very pleased for voting President Trump. Pete Hegseth introduced him to the top brass as welcome our president, the 45th, number 45th, and number 47th. I'm going to say 45th, 46th, and 47th. Because the first time he was president, 45th, between the years 2016 and 2020. Second time, although he actually won with the disgusting maneuvers of the radical left, they made him look like he lost. He actually won. That's why I'm going to say also 46th and obviously 47th president. And I personally hope to see, after he completes his term in 3 years from now approximately, in 2029, the similar mindset will continue. And that's only possible with at least 4, if not 8 more years of Republican administration, both in Senate and in the House of Representatives, to clear the mess, drain the swamp, fight against wokeism, the woke evil. It's going to take a while. It's going to take years to drain the swamp. One more good news that I have, since we're talking about that. Folks who happen to watch my videos might be remembering the name George Soros. Anytime I mention George Soros, I use words. Evil reincarnate. George Soros has been heavily investing, financing, supporting, facilitating, organizing anything that you would consider evil. That is spreading LGBTQ, supporting it, spreading the trans movements, the gender relations, gender identity politics, such as here in Minnesota. Behind me, you're seeing the images from downtown Minneapolis. I live in south of Minneapolis, in Minnesota. Here in Minnesota, the woke governor, Tim Walz, he's also known as Tampon Tim, because he was putting tampons in boys' rooms in schools. George Soros has been supporting these kinds of sick activities. George Soros organizations have been supporting in the school system to almost force the boys for sex change, to go through surgery. As you know, it is extremely reversible. One of the very unfortunate incidents that took place in Minneapolis about a couple, 3 weeks ago or so, there was a shooting in Annunciation Catholic School and two little kids were killed, and several, up to 19 or 20 people, were seriously injured. The person who did this heinous crime himself was young trans person, and the media, the mainstream media, did not even cover the fact that the problem with that murder, he was, I think, 19 years old or 20 years old. He himself was trans, but he was extremely, extremely unhappy with that decision, that actually he went through this process and became transgender, transsexual. I might be using terms sometimes wrong. I tell you what, openly, I don't give a shit about what the LGBT community, the titles, what is it called, the pronouns that they're coming on, the him, his, they, them, whatever. I don't give a shit about what they think is a proper term, because there's nothing goddamn fucking proper about those things. With the LGBTQ, the trans, and faggots, and all of them. So I don't give a fuck about that, okay? Just so you know, we're clear with this communication. So, he was extremely unhappy about being trans. But the mainstream media never even touched base on that. And if you look at the history of the shooter, starting from, I did look at it, starting from 2012, what was that famous shooting that took place in Colorado? Columbine shootings? There was lots of shootings, right, since then? A lot of them. There are, if you just research the shooters, you're going to see lots of trans people. This situation is simply extremely mental. Trans people are mental people. They have a very serious mental illness, and they have to be treated accordingly under psychosomatic or psychopathic drugs, behavioral therapy, under the psychiatric supervision. They are extremely sick, mentally sick people. There is nothing to support them. There is nothing positive. And that's what Pete Hegseth was saying clearly and explicitly when he was giving speech to generals. And the whole world was watching that. That was an extremely important speech. He said, there is no more dudes in dresses. No more dudes in dresses is what he said. If somebody thinks what I'm saying is kind of offending, which, number one, I don't give a fuck if they're offended. And two, they can listen to what Pete Hegseth said. The defense, I'm sorry, I take it back, the Secretary of War. No more dudes in dresses. No more wokeism. And no more woke hiring. No more DEI-based hiring. But all merit-based hiring. Only those who can do the job can be hired. That's it. If there is not a single black, or there is not a single homosexual, or there is not a single woman, because they all failed, that's all, let it be. Okay, that's all. If a woman or a gay or a black person can satisfy, they're all 100% welcome to that role. There is no problem at all whatsoever. But creating a certain category and certain policies, hiring policies in their HR departments, those policies were saying you gotta fill like 30% of our ranks, like on that example I gave you, the U.S. Secret Service should be all women. That's nothing but bullshit. And we saw examples of those Secret Service, female Secret Service agents when Trump was attacked, their extreme incompetence. Remember the videos. If you don't, please go ahead and look at it. She wasn't even able to holster her gun back under stress. That's all what the training is, right, folks? It's not only when you go to range and shoot at the paper targets and you got a good accuracy, oh, you're good. No. Unless you are performing at high percentage and high accuracy, That's what the training is for. And we also, everybody saw in the video that the female agent of the Secret Service was not even able to holster her gun back, and she made it look like as if she gave up holstering. No bullshit, nobody bought that. That's what I wanted to share with you folks. I'm so happy to see somebody like President Trump, as Tom Homan was saying, and he served under 5 different presidents, 5 or 6 even. And he was saying by far, of course, that Trump is the best. I agree with him. I agree with him. God bless Trump. God bless America. Otherwise, under the likes of Biden and Kamala Harris, this country was going into hell in the handbasket. So that was the message I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much for listening to me. See you later at another video, hopefully.